Welcome, my name is Ajaxpost and this is my latest update video, and it's probably going to be a reasonably short one today. Not a great deal has happened. Strange. It's a busy month. It's been August. We've actually had some good weather. We're in the middle of a really hot weekend at the moment, in fact, and it's a bank holiday or public holiday or national holiday, whatever you might call it, wherever you are. And in England, the UK generally probably, we don't tend to get good weathers when we have public holidays. So this is quite astonishing. So yeah, I'm going to just sit inside the house and record videos. It makes sense to me somehow along the line anyway. Anyway, so where are we? Games. Let's start with the games. I must apologise for several, well, in fact all the series have been delayed rather. Been a long while since the last video. I've just recently uploaded, in the last couple of days, a Sims 4 update to the Let's Play series there, and realised it was a month since the last video went up, which is quite remarkable. And it kind of gets me on to thinking, because I was actually worrying about Sims 4, whether there was enough in the game to actually keep me interested. And obviously if I'm not interested, then there's probably not a great deal for you to watch or enjoy. Now, as you know, I only had the base game, plus whatever optional extras came with. Because I had all the Sims 3 stuff, I got a couple of optional extras with the Sims 4 pack, but they don't. I don't know why I'm mentioning that really, because they don't actually have any real impact on anything, to be honest. And I wasn't feeling a sort of challenge or anything really exciting. And I was getting a bit bothered and bewildered by some of the interaction sequences that you get in The Sims 4. Now, so I thought, well, maybe a bit like Sims 3. I mean, it's difficult to compare the two because I have practically everything for The Sims 3. I've got all the expansion packs, yes, including Katy Perry's Sweet Treats. I got that straight. I was very lucky to catch it on a very cheap sale time. It might have actually been on Amazon, but anyway, I got it very cheap. And I don't actually use it a great deal, but there's some nice options in there which are good if you're a builder and you just want to recolour or something. It adds that little extra sort of confectionery feel to some things. The clothes and a lot of the other stuff I'll probably never ever actually use, but yeah. Anyway, so I've got, and all the store, apart from a very few of the earliest exclusives, which I didn't sort of start buying early enough to acquire. So trying to compare Sims 4 with everything that The Sims 3 has is a bit silly, really, and it doesn't work. But the trouble is, I mean, I'm used to having scope to play and loads of things to do in Sims 3, and I'm not really feeling that in The Sims 4 at the moment. Anyway, to the point I was about to make was the Origin sale recently. I discovered for some rather bizarre reason that the expansion packs for Sims 4 are at least as expensive in the UK as they are as the base pack, which strikes me, to say the least, as bizarre. So even accounting for any exchange rate differences or whatever, there seems no reason why an expansion pack should cost the same as a base pack. I mean, that's just adding to the game, it's not the whole game itself. So that strikes me as an extraordinarily bizarre pricing setup. Anyway, so I looked on the Origin sale, and they were about 50% off or something, which off 30 odd quid still leaves an expansion pack of 17 something, I think it was, and that's just far too expensive for me for a game I'm not yet certain I actually enjoy playing too much. So I had to actually scoot around other sites and found that one or two of the expansion packs, in fact probably most of the expansion packs, were actually cheaper elsewhere than they were on Origin. So I found one where the Get to Work pack was the cheapest at around £14 or £15, I think, which seemed reasonable as an add-on to the game. It seemed that it might offer me personally the most extra functionality and gameplay for the sort of games I like to play. So I've added that on. I've not really played with it yet, to be honest. But hopefully that will extend my interest in the game. So I was actually at a point a couple of weeks ago where I was thinking, do I really want to continue playing The Sims 4 or at least do I want to continue this Let's Play sequence. And I was very close to actually saying at the end of the episode I've just uploaded, that's it, I'm going to call it a day. I'll sort of roll back a little bit and see if I can have something else to do interesting with that game. But I actually quite enjoyed it, probably because there's a toddler in it now, and the Sims 4 toddlers are awesome compared to certainly what they are in Sims 3, where they're kind of fun, but you know they don't do a great deal. You've got to spend so much time training them. Good grief, it's hard work. But in The Sims 4 they've added a lot of really fun and amusing interactions. There's still a few things on there I don't quite understand about the interaction choices you've got and the things they level up in. But they're such fun. So I'm actually enjoying that, which I, to be honest, didn't expect. So for the moment the Sims 4 series is going to carry on. But if I may decide at some point that I'll draw a line under this current series and think of a new challenge or something new and funky and interesting to do with the game. Sims 3, I'm about to record another one. Again, that's nearly a month now since the last one went up. So I'll have that up and going. As I said in the Sims 4 video, I'll probably spend the rest of my life playing Sims 3. I love the game. It's as simple as that, really. So that's upcoming. Transport Fever. Now this is one of the reasons why I've been so slow in putting new videos up. Apart from all the sort of socialising and stuff I've been doing in my offline existence, if you will, I tried to rework, following a gameplay update, the sort of guide I did on how to get the best revenue or profit out of bus routes within towns. I discovered all sorts of funky new route setups you could have, and using the new features in the gameplay update. And I've actually extended it from 4 route setups to 6. So I've been trying to record all those and trying to edit them into something that made sense and was entertaining to watch and didn't last 2.5 days. And that actually I found I couldn't really do. So what I planned to do was record the setup of the route, run the game for 5 years, off camera as it were, and then come back and record my impression of the results and see how that particular route setup went. And I discovered that when I came to do that for the 6 scenarios I was actually testing, the whole video, plus intro and outro and stuff, came to actually quite a bit over an hour in length, which I think is just far too long, just for something as simple as that. An hour is too long really for me generally on a YouTube video, so I'm using that as my benchmark. I mean, you may like longer videos and you may have found it interesting and entertaining, but a lot of people I think might not have done. It was too much for such a simple thing like a guide perhaps. So I tried to cut it down and just present the numbers themselves. I sort of created, do you remember Microsoft PowerPoint? Yes! Apparently nobody is supposed to use it anymore. It's got this really bad rep. But it's a really nice way of organising data and sort of showing results and stuff. So I put together a little slideshow and then tried to record me talking through the results of that, going through how each route was set up, again what the numbers were at the end of it. And lo and behold, that took nearly an hour as well. So as you might actually be familiar, I do tend to waffle a bit. I get distracted and go off on side tangents and so on. So trying to keep me within a certain time frame can be a little bit difficult. So I thought, well, does anybody actually want to watch me just talk through a slideshow of bus routes and revenue? The video's there, but I've not decided to upload it yet because I'm still thinking if I can edit it down a bit more I will. But we'll see what the response is. But anyway, all the details are on the Steam guide, so I put all the results up there with a lot more detail than I did the first time round, to be honest, before the gameplay update. So hopefully that will be of use to anyone who plays that game and wants to sort of make money and get the best use of their lines within towns. And yeah, it's just, Transport Fever is one of those games which is just so easy to pick up and play and tinker with. It's not really a sort of it's not a combat or even a tycoon game in a real sense, as you're not competing with anybody apart from yourself and the bank and the budget, really. So it's a great, simple, transport-based builder, essentially. So you can just go off and create things and just see how you move stuff around. It's one of those games I really love for some reason. I played the very first Sid Meier's Railroad Tycoon, and as simple as it was, did it even have 256 colours? It might have been, but it was certainly a very early game in computer game terms, and in PC at least. And something about it caught my interest. Trains. I mean, I did have a little model train set as a child, which I quite liked. But I never thought of myself as a train spotter or anyone particularly interested in transport. But for some reason, that game captured my imagination. I've been a player of transport-based games ever since. Not the simulations so much, because I don't particularly want to drive a train or a plane or a boat or whatever, but actually sort of arranging stuff, the infrastructure, the routes, the lines, getting people here, there and thither has always been quite fun, so I've enjoyed that. So that's it. I hope to catch up now on the games. I took a lot of time out to try and get the Transport Fever guide done, so that stopped me doing other stuff. So I made a decision on that, I think, so I should be able to get back into the swing of recording other videos more reliably and more regularly. The other thing I've done in the last month, not a great deal of theatre, oddly enough, this month. August seems to be generally a bit of a dry month for theatrical stuff. There's stuff going on, but not necessarily anything I'm terribly interested in seeing. But the one thing I did see was a wonderful musical in London called Yank! ! And it's a World War II musical. It's about an American army unit and two guys who fall in love. One who is not a manly man, he's not the masculine man. So fitting into the army routines and requirements and so on, he doesn't quite fit the outlook and the skill set that your average masculine, butch kind of soldier, sorry about that, would exhibit. But he then meets a photojournalist for a magazine called Yank! I'm not actually sure if that magazine actually existed. It was a magazine created by service personnel for service personnel, was the idea behind it. And he found in meeting that chap, there was a whole sort of, if you were, underworld of gay life, which he had access to if he just said, I want it. So he sort of opened up on that side of his character. His sexuality became much more evident and realised as a member of that journalistic team, rather than being a member of the combat unit as such. However, during his training he had met and formed a very close bond with this other guy who was very much the alpha male of the troop, very masculine, very aggressive when needed to be, engaging in banter with everyone. Do they use the word banter back in those days in World War II? No idea. So yes, he was the stereotype, basically, of the good guy in the uniform kind of thing. But he also had a lot softer side, and there were a couple of moments during training where you thought, actually, no, there's a relationship here, it's more than just a friendship. So you think, oh, hang on, what's going on here? Now, as the story develops, we realise that they are in fact emotionally and physically intimate, that there is a real relationship going on there. But obviously one's out being a journalist and one's out in combat, and the lifespan, basically, of a combat soldier back in those days in the Pacific Front, I think it was based in the Pacific area, was actually quite short. So the chances of the straight guy, if I will, catching it and dying from combat was fairly high. But anyway, where am I going with this? Trying to remember it and put it into context for you without giving too much away, which I probably have already. But there is a denouement, and they come together and they do realise their relationship and the nature of it. And they have to come to a point where they have to say, can we be open about this? And obviously, back in the 1940s into the 50s and so on, homosexuality in America was not an open subject. It was not something you talked about. It was something you tried to hide. So the photojournalist said, I'm okay with this now. I can actually accept who I am, my sexuality and so on, and I'm going to live that life. And if it means moving to San Francisco, then I will do, because that's where a lot of the lesbian and gay community migrated then, because it was a much more free and open society there than typical American towns. So yeah, so the journalist guy has come to terms with who he is and what he wants, but the other guy couldn't. He was still trapped, as it were, in the straight world, and said, no, I can't. I can't commit to being in an openly gay relationship with you. I can't admit that to my friends and family, or probably even himself. And so the couple parted, and I won't go into what happened thereafter. But I mean, the thing was, it was remarkably moving. I mean, I don't tend to get that much from musicals. There is obviously some pathos in them and some drama, but it's mostly just something with songs for me. I'm not a huge fan of musicals, but some really work. And this one did. The tunes were really evocative of the era, back in the 1940s, the wartime songs into the early 50s. And there were some really touching and emotional moments where they came to realise how far the relationship had gone, where each of them would like it to go, and how far each of them could let it go, in terms of admitting who they were and what they wanted. So I came away from that actually quite moved. It was a strange experience, because it was a very upbeat musical number, as you can imagine, show tunes and the like, from the late 1940s. But there was a real heart to it, which was really well done and affecting. So that was great. And that's the only theatre I think I've seen this month. I got a couple more things lined up for early next month or early September. It depends on when you watch this, of course, when the next month is going to be. And I want to get into more as the seasons progress. Other than that, it's been beer festivals for me this month. Obviously, the biggest one is the Great British Beer Festival, held in London. It runs, I think, for 4 or 5 days. I was there only for 2 days. Not the whole day each day, but a good number of hours each day, because it's a huge event. Over 900 different beers to try and so on, including ciders as well. Both British and international, including European and American beers, were there represented. There's loads of things to choose from, so you have to spend time there to sample at least a representative section of what's on offer. But the great thing about this particular year was I was able to share it with not only my friends in London, but also some friends in Bristol, who came down for the first time they've done the beer festival, I think, the British Beer Festival. So they came down on one of the days and we spent it with them, showed them around, and it was a really good day. It's one of those things that it's always great to enjoy with a good bunch of friends who enjoy sort of the social aspect of beer festivals. And the other thing we did, again beer related I'm afraid, was here in Bristol. Bristol is a thriving artisan or craft beer city. I don't know, I could count, I might put a number up, I might not, of the number of small independent breweries in the city. There's a small collection of them though in one particular side of Bristol, sort of East Bristol area, and there are 5 little breweries. They're all quite popular, they're all doing good business, and they're all based in these industrial estates, business parks if you will, around that side of Bristol. And 2 or 3 times a year they have an open day, or days, 2 or 3 days, sort of running into across the weekend. And we had one just this last weekend. So there were 5 breweries we visited. They opened up their doors, and most of them have a small tap room. 1 or 2 of them don't. So they just put a bench up, bring some casks forward, or some bottles or cans or whatever it is that they produce, and serve people who visit during the day. And it's incredibly popular. You wouldn't have thought traipsing around industrial parks on the outskirts of a major city would be the way you'd want to spend a sunny afternoon. But people do, and it really is great fun. And it kind of dispels the myth that beer is something, this is certainly true in the UK, there's a myth that beer is drunk by old people with huge beer guts and beards and wearing sandals with socks, of course. It's got a very old-fashioned, fusty image. And that's simply not true. From both the British Beer Festival, especially from this local brewery trail, young people are there in abundance. I mean, the brewery trail is different. It is more focused on the younger, more fashionable, the craft, the artisan end of the market. So you'd expect that to be a bit younger. And it was, but it was incredibly popular. They were slightly better organised this time than they were the last time I went there, where some of the breweries just had too many people turn up and it was simply chaos. You couldn't get served, you'd spend half an hour in the queue for the toilets or that sort of thing, and it was just not an entirely pleasant experience at one or two of the breweries. But they're much better organised now, but still very, very popular. And it's just great meeting people who share that interest in one of Britain's great arts and crafts, which is the making of great beer. Anyway, I think that's all I'll be telling you today on this little update. Thank you for joining me on this. I hope you found it interesting, amusing, entertaining, or at least a pleasant way to spend however long this has been. 20-30 minutes, however long they tend to run out to. I will have another update for you in about a month's time. In terms of games, I'm trying to think of another game. I'm trying to play another game that I can confidently put another Let's Play up on. I did offer a few ideas in the first couple of updates. I'm struggling with those at the moment. I'm not very good at them, to be honest, and I don't want to embarrass myself too much by trying those. So for the moment, it's going to be The Sims 4, Sims 3 and Transport Fever. Hopefully on a more regular schedule now, that I've got all that gubbins with the Transport Fever guide out of the way. And my social life is a little bit more organised now, that I'm not spending so much time away from home or the computer. So that's it. Yeah, so if you have any ideas that you'd like me to talk about, if you'd like any comments on the games or beer or theatre or whatever, that you'd like to sort of contribute to the conversation, then please do leave something in the comments boxes below. It'd be great to hear from you, always good to hear from you. If you've enjoyed this little session, do leave us a like, and of course if you've not done so already, please do subscribe, and that way you'll know, did I just go up, subscribe? I did, didn't I? So I'll subscribe. That's probably a more elegant way of saying it, I think. Yeah, so please do subscribe if you've not done so already, and that way you'll know as soon as I upload another one of these, my regular monthly updates, so far regular at least, or any of my Let's Play or other YouTube videos, and you'll be notified. I think there's a bell button somewhere down here as well. It's what people do, isn't it, on YouTube? They point at things down there. There are apparently buttons down there where you can get immediate notifications when I upload something. Press that by all means, if you're particularly a fan of the work. But anyway, from me, Ajaxpost, thank you for joining me today, and I will see you again soon. But until then, bye-bye for now.